Most men believe they are the rulers of their own minds, but in truth, they are merely negligent caretakers of a collapsing state, overrun by the barbarian hordes of impulse and lethargy. To understand Machiavelli's discipline, you must first accept a brutal truth. Your psyche is not a democracy where every desire gets a vote. It is a territory that must be conquered. You are currently a weak prince, besieged by the rebellious factions of your own comfort, and until you learn to wield the sword of sovereignty against your own weakness, you will remain a slave. The architecture of your ascension begins not with motivation, which is fleeting and effeminate, but with the cold, hard establishment of absolute authority over the primal self. Before this chapter ends, you will understand why the benevolent ruler inside you must die, so that the tyrant of discipline may take the throne. Machiavelli famously wrote that it is safer to be feared than loved, and this maxim applies with devastating precision to the relationship between your conscious will and your subconscious urges. If you are too kind to yourself, if you forgive every missed workout and every procrastinated hour with soft excuses, you breed a contemptuous lack of discipline that will eventually overthrow you. You must execute a calculated cruelty against your lower self. When the alarm rings or the work demands attention, the hesitation must be met with an internal violence that leaves no room for negotiation. This is not self-hatred. It is the necessary severity of a surgeon cutting away gangrene. You hurt the momentary desire to save the life of your potential. Discipline is the specific application of pain today to prevent the catastrophe of mediocrity tomorrow. Brute force alone is the strategy of the fool. The disciplined man must be the lion to frighten the wolves, but he must also be the fox to recognize the traps. The fox knows that willpower is a finite resource, so instead of fighting a daily war, he constructs a labyrinth of habits and systems that make failure impossible. You do not rely on the strength of your character to avoid distraction. You manipulate your environment with Machiavellian cunning so that the distraction never enters your line of sight. The lion provides the ferocity to start, but the fox provides the architecture to sustain. Without this synthesis, you are merely a beast raging against a cage of your own making. True mastery is the art of outsmarting your future self before he has the chance to betray you. Machiavelli depicts fortune as a raging river, violent and unpredictable, destroying those who have not built dikes and dams during the quiet times. The average man waits for inspiration to strike like lightning, but the disciplined sovereign builds a lightning rod to capture the energy whenever it falls. You cannot control the external chaos of the world, but through the rigid architecture of your routine, you create a citadel where your productivity is immune to the whims of luck. To rely on a good day to get work done is to abdicate your throne to chance. You must learn to govern effectively even when the river of fortune floods your banks. Preparation is the only weapon that can kill the goddess of luck. In the court of public opinion, you must wear the mask of the relatable, easygoing citizen, but beneath that mask, your discipline must be cold, alien, and entirely unrelatable. Do not broadcast your plans. The Machiavellian adept knows that speaking of your goals releases the dopamine of achievement before the work is done, effectively neutering your drive. Move in silence like a predator in tall grass, and let the results of your discipline be the only noise you make. Society wants you to be average because your ascension highlights their stagnation. Therefore, you must conceal the extent of your labor until your victory is undeniable. The greatest trick the disciplined man plays is convincing the world his success was natural while hiding the bloody machinery of his daily grind. Your emotions are not your guides. They are enemy spies sent to sabotage the fortress of your logic. When you feel the heavy fog of lethargy or the sharp sting of anxiety, you must treat these not as valid states of being, but as a siege that must be waited out with stoic indifference. The prince does not abdicate because it is raining. You do not stop working because you are not in the mood. The mood is irrelevant to the mission. Starve the distraction, feed the focus. This is the simple, brutal economics of the mind. You will find that when you refuse to engage with the tantrums of your emotional self, they eventually suffocate from a lack of oxygen. We arrive now at the synthesis, the point where the discipline is no longer a chore, but the very essence of your identity. You are no longer fighting the civil war of the self. You have crushed the rebellion, executed the dissenters, and established a reign of absolute peace through absolute power. This is the Machiavellian ideal realized, not political tyranny over a state, but total sovereignty over the biological machine that houses your consciousness. Walk into the world not as a man hoping for a good day, but as a monarch who commands his own destiny with a gaze of iron and a will of fire. The throne is empty. Ascend.